So some of you have been asking how to multiply fractions, so we're going to go through few of those questions now. So if you took a normal fraction, like 2/3 times 1/5, when you're multiplying fractions, it's actually really easy. Effectively, you're just timesing both of the numerators together and writing over here, and both of the denominators together, and then you put that over there. So 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now that can't be simplified any further, so that's your answer. So let's go through it again. So 5/6 over 2/3. Both of the numerators, you times those together, so 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 3 is 18. Now that is not the right answer because that's not in its simplest form. So if I half the top and half the bottom, my answer will be 5/9. Now this does become a problem sometimes when you're doing answers with a mixed fraction. So you might have 1 and 2/3 times 2/3. Now what you need to do here is you need to change that one over here into an improper fraction before you start to times them together. Sorry, so it should be 2/3, not 2 over 2. Okay, so this one, remember our multiply, add, and then keep the denominator the same. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 6. 6 over 3 times 2/3. So now that has become a question I can just go across and do 6 times 2, which is 12, and then 3 times 3, which is 9. But that's not how I want you to write your answer, because if you got asked the question with a mixed fraction, I don't want you to give me an answer as an improper fraction. So we'd have to change that across. 9 goes into 12 once, with 3 left over, 3 over 9. Even that's not in its simplest form. So it would end up being 1 and 1/3. So multiplying fractions is super easy. You're basically multiplying the top, giving an answer, multiplying the denominator, giving an answer, and if it is a mixed fraction, you just change it to an improper fraction before you go. Okay, so that's multiplying fractions. Dividing fractions is a little bit different. Dividing fractions, if we have an answer, a question like 5/6, let's start again. If we have a question like 5/6 divided by 2/3, okay, there's a few things we do. With the first number, we keep it the same. Okay, keep the same. With the second part in here, we make it the opposite. And with the third number here, we flip it. Okay, that's going to be important. So 5/6, we keep the same. With the division, we change it to a multiplication. And with 2/3, we flip it upside down, put the 3 on top, and make it 3/2. And now we've got a multiplication question, which we know how to do. So 5 times 3 is 15, and 6 times 2 is 12. So the answer then would be 1 and 3/12, or 1 and 1/4. Right, let me do that again. Okay, just to see how we go. Okay, so let's picture you have a question which has 4/6 divided by 2/4. Okay, so remember, we keep the first one the same. So just write 4/6 the same it was. Change the middle one, make it the opposite. So we're going to multiply. And instead of 2/4, we're going to flip it to the 4's on top. So it makes it 4/2. And now that we've got that the way it is, we do 4 times 4 is 16, and 6 times 2 is 12, which would equal 1 and 4/12, or if we simplify it, 1 and 1/3. Okay, I hope that was a little bit easier. What would happen if you had it as what would happen if one of those questions was a mixed fraction? Well, if you had it, so the question was 2 and 2/3 divided by 1/5, what would you do? Well, before you need to start, firstly what you need to do is you need to change this around to make it an improper fraction. So we multiply, add, keep the denominator the same. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 8/3. Change this to the opposite, so times it. Flip this upside down, so 5/1. 8 times 5 is 40, and 3 times 1 is 3. So then 3 goes into 40, I think it's 13 times. 13 and with how many the third? 1. 13 and the third. Okay. So I hope that's helped you with dividing and adding fractions. Sorry, dividing and multiplying fractions. Remember, multiplying fractions, we basically just multiply across the top and down the bottom. But with dividing fractions, we keep the first one, we make the middle part the opposite 2 times, and we flip the denominator and the numerator there to get our answer. I hope that's helped. Thanks, guys.